Did you know that Nintendo is over 100 years old? Or that we almost had a different cartoon character playing Mario? Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Matt from RetroReviews, and today we're going to talk about 10 things that you didn't know about Nintendo. Number 1. Nintendo is over 100 years old. Now, when most people think about Nintendo, they think about the 1970s or the 1980s, they think about the home NES console, or maybe Donkey Kong in the arcades. In reality, the Nintendo company was founded in Japan in 1889 by Fusajiro Yamauchi. While the company was originally Marufuku Company Limited, Hiroshi Yamauchi, Fusajiro's grandson, renamed the company Nintendo Playing Card Company Limited in 1951. They began by making playing cards, starting with handmade Hanafuda cards, but turned toward toys around the time Hiroshi took over. Number 2. Super Mario Bros. And Donkey Kong were not the first games created by the Nintendo company. Nintendo's first video game systems were kind of like this, that plugged directly into the television, unlike the systems we have today, with a console you pop discs or cartridges into. Although Nintendo had collaborated earlier with Magnavox in 1977, they soon after went off on their own, creating software and hardware by themselves. While we never saw these first games here in the United States, in 1979 we got our first bite of Nintendo goodness with the Game & Watch series. Essentially, a Game & Watch is a Game Boy, except instead of popping cartridges in and out of the back, it only has one game loaded onto each one. The first game we ever got here in the United States was the exciting title, Ball. Yeah, Ball. When I was growing up, I had something similar to those Game & Watch games. Most of them were made by Tiger Electronics, and they were absolutely terrible by today's standards. Even a little bit in back then standards. My favorite, though, was an oversized green Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. Number 3. Super Mario Bros. Was not the first Mario game. Although the NES Super Mario Bros. Was a runaway success, this was not Mario's first game. Not many people know or remember the arcade game Mario Bros. Without the Super. A single-screen game where you play the titular character Mario running around in the sewers, flipping enemies over and kicking them off the screen. This was even more fun with a friend and felt like a very, very primitive version of Super Smash Bros. There is even a hidden feature in Super Mario Bros. 3 for the Nintendo Entertainment System. If you're playing with a friend and it's their turn, but they move over the space where your character just was, mash those A and B buttons and you can suck them into a player versus player Mario Bros. Mode. In this mode, if you beat your friend, you get to take over their turn. Sure, my little brother still harbors a lot of resentment against me for stealing all of his turns when we were growing up. However, that was not Mario's first appearance either. 2 years before that, in 1981, Donkey Kong was released in arcades in the United States. Mario first appeared here, except he was called Jumpman. Some of you will argue that that was not Mario's first game, and some of you will, but either way, Super Mario Bros. For the NES was not the first. Number 4. Mario was not supposed to wear a hat. Mario does not look the way that he was originally designed to way back in the 1970s and 1980s. The reason he looks the way he does today is because of limitations in pixel art and computing power. They couldn't make Mario's hair look the way that they wanted to, so instead they just slapped a cap on him. That cap has even more importance going forward to games like Super Mario 64, where if you lose the cap, you take extra damage, all the way up into the new Super Mario Odyssey with Cappy. Number 5. There were different versions of the Nintendo Entertainment System. Most gamers know of the Super Famicom, short for Family Computer, released in Japan. But not many people know there were 2 different Nintendos released here in the United States. We got the original Nintendo, where the game goes in and slaps down, but later in the life cycle, when the Super Nintendo was coming out, we got the Nintendo Top Loader. Most people believe that the Top Loader came out to try to keep Nintendo fresh, even though the Super Nintendo was coming out. They still wanted to sell Nintendo games. Brand new Nintendo top loader was much less money than a brand new Super Nintendo. Also, maybe Nintendo didn't realize it at the time, but today we know that the biggest point of failure in those original Nintendos is the 72-pin connector. When the game drops down into the system, it puts pressure on those pins that eventually cause them to fail. The top loader got rid of this problem entirely. Number 6. Donkey Kong was not supposed to be a gorilla. The game that we know as Donkey Kong was under development without necessarily having all of the rights to the character they wanted to use. See, Nintendo wanted to use Popeye, a very popular character in comics and eventually cartoons back in the time. The part of Jumpman was supposed to be played by Popeye, Pauline, Popeye's girlfriend, Olive Oyl, and big ol' mean Donkey Kong was really supposed to be big ol' mean Bluto. Number 7. The Super Mario Bros. Theme song is supposed to be much, much slower. Koji Kondo, who wrote most of the Nintendo music that we all love, originally wrote the Super Mario Bros. Theme song to be much, much slower. He envisioned it as a laid-back, relaxing island theme, and he tried his best on the current hardware to try to make calypso steel drum sounds. However, once the game was nearing being finished, and Koji Kondo saw his music with the fast-paced Mario action, he decided that it didn't fit. So they started speeding up his music to match the action-packed pace of the game. And there we have the Mario theme we know and love today. Number 8. That same Super Mario Bros. Theme song has lyrics. In Japan, the Super Mario Bros. Theme song has lyrics. The words are super strange, whether it's told in English or Japanese. Well, I don't know Japanese, but I'm told it's weird in that language too. We missed out on such amazing poetic lines like, "Today, full of energy, Mario jumping." Or what about this mono stitch? "Lightly sidestepping the Hammer Brothers. Show the last of your power, Mario." Number 9. Super Mario Bros. 2 is the only retro Mario game where you start big. In nearly all of the retro Super Mario Bros. Games, you start small, and then you get mushrooms and flowers and leaves and stuff like that to get bigger. In Super Mario Bros. 2 in the United States, you start big with 2 life pellets, and that's the same whether you choose to play as Mario, Luigi, Princess Peach, or Toad. Getting hit one time will deplete the number of health pellets you have, and if it drops to 1, you shrink in size. Number 10. The warp pipes in the original Mario Brothers, they're there because the creators aren't very good at playing video games. The warp pipes in the original Super Mario Brothers, they were not designed to give us the ability to skip around wherever we wanted to. The warp pipes were created as a way to help developers get all the way to the end of the game to make sure that there were no bugs. This also goes for why the famous Konami code was created. So everybody, thank you for tuning in today and watching my channel. This was my first top 10 list. Likes and subscribes really help me out a ton, so please smash those buttons down below. I would appreciate you leaving a comment on what was your favorite Nintendo fact you didn't know, another top 10 list you'd like to see, or some retro game reviews that you're interested in hearing about. Hope to see you next time.